So last week, I got a call from a client, a finance coach I built a system for once she runs every week without me. She was panicking. She was about to buy a new tool and someone was selling her AI magic, some complex LLM that was supposedly going to learn from her data. It was confusing. She was confused and skeptical. It was gibberish. She called me to translate. So I am going to do for you what I did for her. By the end of this video, you will be able to read any AI article, sit through any AI pitch, and know exactly what people are talking about. And if you are here for the first time, subscribe so I can bring you value every week. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, generative AI, and large language model. 5 different concepts. Yet, countless articles online blur them together as if they are the same thing. Chances are you found yourself nodding through a conversation without actually knowing what any of those AI buzzwords mean. Today, let's change that. So, today plan 5 terms. They sit inside one another like addresses in a city. Let's use New York. Artificial intelligence is Manhattan. Machine learning is 34th Street. Deep learning is the Empire State Building. Generative AI is the 86th floor of the Empire, and a large language model is the gift shop. So think of it. You arrive in Manhattan. You walk down 34th Street. You enter the Empire State Building. You ride up the 86th floor. Then you step into the gift shop. Keep that picture in your head for the rest of the video. Every concept we cover is simply one more step on our walk through New York. Let's go! Part 1. Artificial Intelligence or Manhattan. Welcome to Manhattan. AI is the oldest word on the list and the biggest idea. In 1956, a group of scientists thought they could build a thinking machine in about one summer. They were off by, guess, 70 years and counting. They defined artificial intelligence as any machine that could think like a human. And that definition says absolutely nothing about ChatGPT, which is why most of what got called AI never looked like a chatbot. IBM's Deep Blue, the chess program that beat the world champion in 1997, that was AI. Your spam folder is AI. The route your phone picks to get you home is AI. There is even an old joke, often credited to John McCarthy, the man who coined the term AI, that as soon as something works, we stop calling it AI and start calling it software. So when someone is trying to sell you an AI product, hold on to your wallet because they have not told you anything yet. They have just said Manhattan. Now, let's walk down 34th Street. This is where things start getting more specific. Part 2. Machine learning or 34th Street. For about 40 years after that 1956 meeting, researchers tried to build AI by writing every rule themselves. If the email says invoice, fill it here. If the customer says refund, do that. It was working until it was not. Then the researchers found something better. Instead of writing every rules, you show the machine thousands of examples, then millions, and let it work out the pattern itself. It's like showing a computer 100,000 emails already labeled spam or not spam, and it learns what spam looks like without anyone ever defining spam. That is machine learning, and it sits inside a big AI box. But one goal gave researchers the most trouble: getting a machine to handle human language. Reading it, sorting it, translating it. Researchers call it natural language processing, or NLP. And it was quite frustrating for decades because there are too many ways humans we say the same thing. For example, you can write a rule for cancel my order, and the customer types, "Oh, you know what? I changed my mind," and you are back to square one. Everything changed in 2017 when a new architecture called the transformer arrived, and that is the reason ChatGPT or Claude exists today. I will show you exactly what it changed in a minute. But before we continue, quiz! What is machine learning? Showing a computer thousands or even millions of examples and letting it discover the patterns instead of programming every rule yourself. Great, you got it. Part 3, deep learning or the Empire State Building. Now, let's walk into the Empire State Building. This is where the real pattern finding happens. There is something called a neural network. Think of it as your brain with all its neural connection. In the case of AI, it's a big stack of a very simple math steps, arranged in layers, each one taking numbers in and passing numbers out. Deep learning just means the stack has many layers. So deep here means tall. Inside those layers are numbers called parameters, billions of them. Each parameter decides how much one piece of information influences the next calculation. Set one higher and that piece of information matters more. Set it lower and it barely matters at all. During training, those parameters get adjusted tiny amount after tiny amounts, billions of times until the model stops getting the wrong answer. I know it was a complex, but let me explain it a little bit better. Think about how a child learns to recognize a dog. The first time, they point at a cat and call it a dog. You correct them. The next time, they see a panther and they say, "Ah, a dog." No, 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 no. That's not a dog. It's a panther. And eventually, after seeing enough example of a dog, they just know. Deep learning works in a very similar way. It keeps adjusting those billions of parameters until the mistakes become smaller and smaller. Now, this is important. That learning happens before you ever open ChatGPT, Claude, or any of those new AI chatbots. By the time you type your prompt, those parameters are already fixed. The model is using what it learned. It is not really learning from you while you chat with it. Remember that. It is going to matter later. Now, let's ride the elevator to the 86th floor. This is where AI stops simply recognizing patterns and start creating something entirely new. Part 4, generative AI or the 86th floor. Here, that transformer I promised, Google introduced it in 2017 and it completely changed the field. For the first time, a model could look across an entire sentence or even multiple paragraphs and work out which words matters to which words. That was the breakthrough that finally cracked the language problem we talked about earlier. But the model did something even bigger and better. It generated. Before this, most machine learning systems were classifiers. They answered questions like spam or not spam, frauds or not fraud, will this customer stay or leave? Generative AI creates something new: text, images, music, codes, and video. It learns patterns from an enormous collection of examples and produce new combinations that fit those patterns. That's why it can write a poem, generate a logo, create an image, or write software. The newest models like Claude Opus 4.8, Kimi K3, and GPT 5.6 are getting better at this every year, actually every day. But underneath it all, they are still generating based on the pattern they learned during training. Quick question before we go to the final stop. And yes, I read every comment. Type 1 if before this video you thought AI and ChatGPT were basically the same thing. Or type 2 if you knew they were different but could have not explained why. One last stop, the final one. Let's step into the gift shop because this is where almost every AI conversation today actually happens. So, part 5, the large language model or the gift shop. A large language model or LLM is simply generative AI specialized for language. Large because of how much text it was trained on. Language because text goes in and text come back out. 5 years after the Transformer paper, ChatGPT arrived. Then came Claude, Gemini, Kimi, Mistral, and all those AI chatbots. At their core, they all do one thing. They predict the next piece of text. That's it. Every essay, every email, every line of code, every answer, it is all next token prediction. Those pieces of text I call tokens. A token, it's usually about 4 characters long. So it is often a little shorter than a full word. The model reads this chunk, not individual letters. That's why AI can write you an incredible business plan and then fail to count the letter in a single word. It never looked at the letters one by one. It looked at the tokens. Another term you will hear is the context window. Think back to a gift shop. Imagine one long shelf in the gift shop. Everything the AI is working with has to fit on that shelf. As the conversation gets longer and longer and longer, the shelf fills up. Eventually, the oldest information gets pushed off to make room for the newest. That's why a long conversation can sometimes feel like the AI is getting dumber. No, the earlier parts of that conversation simply fell off the shelf. Finally, there is one last concept you should know, and I'm sure you are probably pissed about that. Hallucinations. Sometimes AI give you an answer that sounds completely convincing, but is completely wrong. Yeah, we call that a hallucination. My friend always asks me, Emil, why is AI making things up? But from the model perspective, and that's my answer to them, it is just trying to predict the next token. Most of the time, the most likely next token is also the current answer, the correct answer, but sometimes it is not. That's why humans, you and me, we matter. Human in the loop matters. AI is incredibly powerful, but humans are still responsible for verifying the output. All right, let's do a final recap. We are taking one last walk through New York City. Artificial intelligence, Manhattan, machine learning, 34th Street, deep learning, the Empire State Building, generative AI, the 86th floor of the Empire, large language models, the gift shop. If you remember that walk, you will never confuse these terms again. The next time someone starts throwing around AI buzzwords, you will know exactly where they are on the map. And if you want to know what each of these actually costs to build, because someone will try to sell you weeks of work when you just need 10 minutes, I have another video coming up. I am sure you have found these videos useful. So, if you have not subscribed, do it now. Every week, I break down AI into practical strategies you can actually use in your business, in your career. It's Emil Gio. Go build something.